keys that I could for free, and I was like, oh, this is good stuff right here.
You
had to add that for free.
And joining us on the old Skype-a-rooney is Dr. J. Izzo, the internet doctor, and we've got a hell of a deal here.
Hold on. Said the internet doctor?
The internet doctor.
Yeah,
yes,
I am. I'm the only registered trademark in the world as the internet doctor, right? And look, I got a cowboy hat. I stand 6'5", and I'm wearing Python boots. What does that tell you? Cowboy boots. What does that tell you about me?
Fun factoid about Jay Izzo. When we were having our feud with Jay Birdwells, she went and harassed Jay Izzo on Facebook.
How so?
About, I can't believe Jiggy kicked me off the show. Blah! She was going all nuts. And then he gets a hold of me and he goes, I don't know what this chick's doing, but she's filling my inbox every day with messages. I don't want to be in the middle of this.
I just said I didn't want to be in the middle of it because I said, because I don't know what's going on.
Look at this. Who is this calling?
I am in Raleigh, North Carolina.
I'm not going to deal with
you guys are in Hutchinson, Kansas. You have to live with each other, so live with each other. But Jiggy, you have not introduced me to the lovely lady over there, the over there on the couch.
I think she's head of security.
Is she?
Yeah.
She's the Husky's head of security.
She's just nodding her head. Yes. I do whatever.
She's just head of security. So
bodyguard. Yeah.
Bodyguard. Tour manager. I don't know.
I do get why they call Brian. Brian? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, do you care if I call you Brian or Husky, or do you have a preference?
You can call me Steve if you want. So, Brian.
I didn't have that in your bio there, brother.
No, Brian's cool. That's fine.
So, I get why they call you Husky.
Yeah?
Yeah, I got it real quick. I did. You're a big boy. I'm just going to say it right now.
Yes, sir.
That's all good. That's all good. But I'm going to tell you something. I love your music, and I really got an opportunity to dig into it. I'm a big blues fan. I sadly, I'm a big Stevie Ray Vaughan fan, and I love Texas blues a lot. And sadly, I never got to see him. But I did get to see Buddy Guy and meet Buddy Guy personally. I'm a big Buddy Guy fan.
Yeah,
and of course Albert King and
Mm-hmm.
And there's another blues guitarist out there who you may have heard of, Eric Gales, who I got to meet at the John Coltrane Jazz and Blues Festival here in High Point, North Carolina.
Oh, cool!
And super guitar player, kind of like you, kind of pushes the edge of blues to rock and a little bit of soul, and then he kind of does some of his own things in there too.
Yeah, he's an amazing player.
Yeah, he is.
But
I got to tell you something, brother. I've been listening to your music, and man, I'm telling you, it. James, I don't know. Tell me if you can hear this or not. Just let me know. You hear that?
No, but we are going to play some of his music here in a little bit. So.
Can you hear that?
No.
Yes.
No.
That's a shame. That really is.
But we are going to play some of our in studio guest music here in a little bit.
Okay, but I got to tell you something. 36 Degrees has got one of the best grooves I have ever heard, and I mean that thing starts out. And also, I'm gonna tell you who's playing the harmonica for you, man. On what is it called?
The Revival album.
The Revival album.
Yeah, that's J.D. Wilkes from
is that
Legendary Shack Shakers and etc. Yeah,
that's awesome. I'm telling you, that's dirty, right? I mean, he's got that.
Yeah.
He probably has a 1956 bullet that he's holding on to. You know, it seems like it's an old school bullet that he's holding on to in there, because that thing is dirty and it's awesome.
Yes, it's very dirty. That's why I wanted him and him only for that album. He's just so good. And personally, I don't know anybody personally that harmonica players that are, I don't know, that please my ear like that.
Right.
I really wanted him and him only on the album. We somehow made it happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, he sounds husky.
Right.
Really, he fits you, right?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, in terms of your style of music and in terms of what you do, I mean, it's just got that husky, gritty, dirty, filthy, just grinding harmonica sound, but that I personally love. So that's as a harmonica hack. That's
harmonica hack. Well, if you're going to be a hack, you might as well be a harmonica hack.
Yeah.
Well, I hack at 6 different instruments, James, and I mean I hack at them. All right. I mean
the only instrument I've ever been able to play is the recorder.
Really? And you were in what grade were you in the last time?
I would say fifth. I would say fifth grade at Washington School in the great city of McPherson, Kansas. The rolling city of McPherson, Kansas, where they've just banned Texas Hold'em poker, apparently. Right. I don't know why they banned this in McPherson. They banned dancing in the streets too. If you dance in the streets in Mac, you're getting arrested.
That's awful.
Yeah. It's still on the books.
We're not going through there then.
They have to have a waiver every year. They do the All Schools Day parade so they can get around that law.
So if you just put some music.
So if you put some music and did a street dance, you're done.
That's awful. That's awesome.
They're hauling you off.
They just want to ruin everybody's fun?
Apparently.
Right? That's awful.
It's like Footloose.
Yes, it is. It's like Footloose. Also, there is a law that is still on the books, although they don't officially recognize it. Thank God. And this is going to get me more. This is going to get me more heat with our buddy Miko Hayes. But in Canton or Galva, one of the two, they have a sign that black people are not allowed outside after 8 o'clock in the evening.
Still?
It's still on the
You're
still on the
kidding.
books.
What? That's awful.
It is a weird state.
Awful.
So is there a sign or is that?
No, it's just a law.
Thank God there's not a sign.
Right?
Thank God there's not a sign.
I was like, I'm going to go photograph that immediately.
I'm going to go photograph that immediately. I'm going to post that on Instagram.
It's awful.
But we have got...
Make a sign to photograph.
Make the sign to photograph.
I thought the dancing in the streets thing was bad.
Nope, just go 10 minutes up the road.
Yeah. Well, I wonder why last week when I played poker in Galva, they were like, this is for charity only. I was like, what? And the other guy's like, no, he's good. He plays in McPherson. They're like, okay, we're just making sure you weren't like undercover.
Yeah, man.
Husky, thank God you're just playing music, brother.
Yeah. Good thing I'm not a car hustler or something.
Hopefully he's not making people dance, though.
Yeah. Don't let anybody dance.
Yeah, good thing I don't dance for a living.
You're done.
Well, couldn't go through Kansas at all.
Couldn't go through Kansas, McPherson, anywhere. Now, Jay, go. I want to bring this back to some normality.
So I got to ask you, Husky, is that a custom-made telly that you had made for you?
It is. The company is out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. They're Diamondback Stringworks. Okay. I've had that thing for about 5 years now, I think, something like that. But I love that guitar for all my slide stuff and that thing.
Well, it's a pretty guitar, man.
Oh, thank you.
It really is. It's a pretty guitar, and it really does have really quite a unique sound. And I think, even as I think anybody, right, who's a musician like you are, but somebody who listens to music and tries to play music like I do, there's something about when somebody finds their sound and they find that guitar. I always think of Willie Nelson's, old guitar, right? That's a unique sound.
Yep. Albert King.
Albert King was the same way with that Flying V thing that he had, and of course BB had his. How many Lucille's did BB King go through? I don't know, but he had that thing, and then
a bunch.
Yeah, and then Stevie Ray, would take his, he would take his Strat, and he would take that down a half step and do what he did, and played those big, heavy strings, and split his fingers wide open. And so I always find it cool when I'm talking to a musician like yourself who finds his guitar and he finds that sound, because it seems like it's just an extension of what they're thinking just comes out in their fingers, and you definitely hear it in your music. But it's a real pretty guitar, and that's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've got another one actually. I've got two main ones. That one's for all the slide stuff, and then the other, I have a guitar called, the company's out of Texas, out of Austin. It's called Moniker Guitars. The one I've got for all my standard tuning stuff, all the non-slide stuff, that's right. That's that one. And I'll tell you what, man. I just had this conversation last night with my buddy in Colorado. He gave me a real cheap, just a cheapo Gibson Firebird,
right.
And it's just everything about it's cheap. Well, I plugged it into
everything about it's cheap.
Everything, pickups, everything. It's light. It feels like paper. But I plugged it into my amp last night at the Wichita show, and I swear these new pedals, effects pedals I'm working with, are they're magic. I think actually, I think it's just magic.
But I mean, listen, I have a handful of guitars here at the house that I jump on, and I found a 1986 Japanese-made Telly, blonde Telly, and you know what? It really has a great sound. I was blown away just how great that guitar sounded. It has just a unique sound to it, and sometimes those cheaper guitars. I mean, listen, I have some, right? But sometimes they can actually sound pretty darn good.
Yeah, just replace the pickup and boom, you're good.
Yeah.
And what I was gonna say about the sound and the tone though goes right back to that. It's these effects pedals I'm using, man. Black Arts ToneWorks. Look them up because I'm using a pedal. It's just for gain, for distortion, dirt. They mainly build fuzz pedals. But this one is a low gain fuzz pedal, and it has 3 knobs, so it has basically 3 volume knobs, 3 cascading volume knobs that you just can basically dial in your tone and really find that like dirty Billy Gibbons sound. And I'm swearing by this pedal right now. Like it's
and who does
magic.
Who does the pedal?
Black Arts ToneWorks.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, please do. They're really. I'm really loving. I've got a certain sound and it's dirty or whatever, but I really haven't found like my sound until this pedal, man. Like I'm convinced it's just magic because it's like really like. I mean, I can plug anything into it and I know it's gonna sound good.
See, that's awesome.
See, Naggy, you do music.
Yeah.
Do you have any use for, or are you one of these electronica goth guys?
I do everything all digital, like Fruity Loops and all electronic.
Yeah.
I used to have a guitar, but then I was planning to sell it. But.
Yeah. So Husky, tell me a little bit about how you got to be you.
Well, started playing out, just high school or whatever, but I started playing out like for money and seeing that I could make money doing it, and with this guy, this country singer, Roger Allen Wade, out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Cool. I had no clue what the heck I was doing, and let's see, got in a road band, one last road band after that before I started this, called Polecat Boogie Revival, also out of Tennessee at the time. And I went on my first tour with that band, opening up for Hank 3.
That's
and
cool.
I was just like, there's no way I'm not going to do this, or at least try. So I was just like, wow, how would they have done it? How would Roger have done it? Let's make this happen. Like Roger does it on his own, I can do it on my own. Let's try this. And acted like I had a band and everything, made a website. It was me and a guitar. I was still searching for drummers and all that. So anyway, I don't know, man. I've just been playing for so long. It's really all I know. So I don't know how I became me. I don't know. I've always loved blues.
Who influenced you the most? Talk about some of your blues influences.
My Uncle Tim was a big one. He's passed away now. He was, he had this B.B. King, Albert King kind of thing going. I mean, he played in cover bands and stuff too, but his playing, man, there's this one lick that he does that I just cannot. I don't care how many times I watch the video, I can't do it. And that dude, you know, I remember he was like, in my Metallica days and all that, and he's like, I wasn't even mentioning Metallica, but he's like, you'll get out of that Metallica stage one day, and I'm like, whatever, old man. Shows how much you know. And then now, you know, 6 months down the road, I was getting into like Allman Brothers and stuff like that at first.
That's cool.
Through both my uncles and my dad. So like Dwayne Allman and all that, and then it just kind of once I heard Stevie Ray, I just went backwards from there, trying to find all the old real stuff and the good stuff, basically.
You know, so many blues players, and even as a hack like myself, I mean, I still go back to Robert Johnson, right, and listen to the things that Robert Johnson did, because, you know, even then there was something really special about some of the things that he was doing way back then that now you go, wow, that's still good, right? I mean, it's still really, really good.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, how much of that do you think, you know, like when you go back to that far, you know, I mean, how much of that do you think of just listening to that different music has kind of like penetrated its way into your music?
Yeah, that's a definite, because first time I heard Furry Lewis before I heard Robert Johnson.
Wow.
And well, to answer your question, definitely especially those two. Like that was the main influencers. I used to listen to a college radio station, WUTC in Chattanooga, and they had a blues show every Wednesday night for 3 hours, and I would just sit in the living room and hang out and listen to that show, man. And that's where I got turned on to a lot of the blues, really, was that radio show. And it I don't know, man, there's something you can't, I think if you're a blues player, you can't not have that, in some of that, at least a little bit of that old stuff in your music, or inside you somewhere for inspiration to write music that sounds completely different, just something.
Yeah, I think, you know, I agree with you. I think there's, even in the worst of us who are, you know, as bad as musicians that we may be, that are just tremendous blues fans, I think there's just always something that, you know, that shuffle, right? You're going to learn that shuffle is one of the first things you're going to learn, right? That little 3-chord blues, 12 bar blues shuffle, you're going to learn that as well. So I want to ask you, like, in terms of your style of music, I know that you've got this vast array of, really, it's kind of an eclectic style. I mean, because I can't like pigeonhole you as saying, well, he's Chicago, he's New Orleans blues, or he's Texas blues, or, you know, it's so different, and I don't even know how to describe it. And so can you kind of, like, for our listeners, can you kind of, if you were to, you know, if they were saying, okay, this is how I would describe my blues style, how would you describe it?
I know you said blues rock, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, like, here lately, I really don't know how to answer that question. I'm trying to, hang on.
I know.
Let's see. It's definitely blues influenced, but here lately, as you'll hear on these couple of new songs that are coming out in the spring, those, for my ears, for my playing, maybe it's just because of what I'm listening to right now or the last couple of years, but I've always been a huge, like, raw rock and roll fan, just MC5, just Faces, Stones, just anything, which all those people were doing back then were just making blues into rock and roll, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what they were doing.
But the raw rock, I need the raw rock in me, and so I guess it comes out of me. And now I want to hear that. I want to listen to any kind of CD. I want to put in Fu Manchu or Clutch or Jesus Lizard or something like that, and Faith No More, or just something. I need some heavy rock and roll, just raw rock and roll, and that's starting to come out more in the music. Right. Like on the Revival album, there's a couple of songs on there that are a little more, but it's all blues influenced. So
right.
I guess blues influenced rock and roll, dirty blues.
Yeah. Dirty. Well, no, I mean because it's really, your sound, and I know we're going to listen to some tracks here, and James, maybe this is a good time to maybe have Husky introduce maybe one of the first songs here, so our listeners can kind of, as we lead into this, maybe they can get a glimpse and decide for themselves how they would describe Husky's music. Can we cue that?
Yeah, but before we do that, if people want to find out where you're playing, how they get a hold of you, social media, how do they do all that? How do they get in touch with you?
There's a Facebook page, Brian Husky Burnett. There's the website. Everything always on. You can get the bio, anything you need on the website. That's huskyburnett.net. And then your Instagram, Twitter, Facebook page.
So do you handle all the social media, or do you have a social media person doing that for you?
I'm pretty much doing everything myself again.
Good for you.
And it's cooler that way.
Yeah, James, because I'm gonna tell you something. While we're kind of leading into this, because I want the listeners to hear a little bit of his music, but I want to come back and I want to ask Brian a really important question that I watched a documentary with Buddy Guy, and he said something, and I really want to ask him this question. But I think it's really great if the listeners could hear a little bit of.
Yes, I've got. It's labeled as track 1.
Dude, can we do 2?
Yeah, I'm still downloading.
Okay, yeah, play that one then.
So tell us a little bit about this.
This one is Caroline, my wife and bass player, helped me write this one. It's called Rising. It's from the new upcoming split 12-inch that we're doing. We're putting out on Rusty Knuckles with another band called 6 Speed Kill out of Pittsburgh. So this is track 1 from that upcoming split.
And I don't know with the way we've got Skype set up, Jay. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this or not.
Well, I will pretend that I can.
So I am going to hopefully get this loaded. It's I always love WAV files because you never know what happens. You never know what's gonna happen. You don't know if they're gonna play or if they're just gonna Here it is on our big broadcast.
Lord is moving in
That is a hell of a track. Good Lord.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there, man. Well, I mean,
a lot of moving parts and.
Well, no, I mean, so I couldn't get all of it because it was fading in and out.
Yeah.
But what the stuff that I could hear, let me tell you some of the bands that I heard and what I could hear. And Husky, you are free to tell me you are so wrong.
Right.
Yeah, it's right with me, right?
I bet you're right though, because
okay. So one of the first things I heard out of there was Deep Purple.
Okay.
Kind of that Smoke on the Water.
Okay.
Kind of grind, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got a little bit of Metallica out of there. Okay. I got a little bit of the Foo Fighters out of there, and I got a little bit of Black Sabbath.
Okay. I think I like all that. What about Cinderella?
Oh.
Or Rat.
Yeah.
The first thing the label said when they heard the first track was, "Man, I'm really hearing Rat out of that first album."
I get it. Now
but I get it. Like, yeah, you can't deny it. There's some rock, hair rock going on there or something. If it's not Rat, can it at least be Guns N' Roses? They had like leather jackets and no makeup.
Yeah, you couldn't really pin it down to one. Yeah.
No, I mean, no, it's really, and that's why I say that there's a lot going on there because you just can hear so many different. I feel like there's a lot of different influences happening in just that track. And again, I was hearing it fade in and out for me on my end, but I mean, I was like, man, there's just a lot. There's a lot going on that I hear there. I mean, it's a really cool track.
Thank you.
Man, it's a really, really cool track. I think what I like about your music more than anything, I think, is the fact that you can go there to that kind of that hard, edgy rock, but you also can pull it way, way back. And you could give us, like 36 Degrees, I just think has that beautiful bluesy, lullaby bluesy sound, right? I mean, I think that's the other end of it, and I think it just demonstrates your range so well. And Miss Caroline, am I correct that you play the bass? Did I hear that you play the bass? Is that right? Yeah, because I can hear.
You might have to turn that on.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, there we are.
All right. Yeah, I play the bass on that.
Maybe.
No.
Hey, hand her one of those, Naggy.
Yes.
There we are. Okay, we'll do that.
I'll just share.
Loud and clear.
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
I do play on this split EP.
Yeah,
because
I mean, you can really hear.
Yeah.
You can really hear you.
Swap them out. I probably
just throw that anywhere.
Does it have batteries in it?
Yeah,
it probably didn't have batteries in it. Well, okay. Well, I put batteries in 4 of the mics.
So because Caroline, I can really hear you in this too as well. I can hear that grinding bass and some of the things you're doing. Now, are you playing like a 5 or 6 string bass on that?
Oh no, that's about 4 strings too many for me.
4 strings too many.
That's awesome.
No, awesome. I also have a moniker bass and just slap a little dirt on it and there you go.
Right. So because you're getting a lot out of your bass there with that, out of that. So I'm kind of curious of how you're getting some of that extra, grunge out of that bass there. That's what I'm curious.
Well, for this recording, we recorded with a really good engineer in Pittsburgh, Matt Berry. And he just had all kinds of amps, heads, cabinets, pedals. I don't even think I used a pedal for that. I think he just put some dirt on. I can't even remember what rig I had set up for that. But he was just an incredible sound engineer. He asked me what kind of bass tone I loved. I said I love somewhere in between Siamese Dream by Smashing Pumpkins and Jesus Lizard. So if you can get me somewhere in there. And he goes, okay, I think I got the perfect thing, and got the setup going, and it was exactly what I wanted.
There's something, Husky, you have to admit, there's something great about a great engineer, isn't there?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes.
All right, so here comes the big question. Here's the big question I got to ask you, Husky. So I'm watching this documentary with Buddy Guy, and it was pretty powerful as he goes through his roots of where he came through in Chicago and all the places he played. And he said that his biggest fear, I think, I'm paraphrasing it, but his biggest fear is that this is a genre of music that we're about to lose, the blues. And I'd like to know how you feel about that, because his fear is that there's really nobody really carrying the torch. And what are your thoughts on that when you hear a comment, something to that effect?
I agree and I disagree.
Okay.
Both. As far as there's nobody to carry the torch, this whole underground roots scene is producing some people that are, or has produced and still producing artists that play it like it's supposed to be played. I don't guess there's that's not the right way to say it. There's no real right way to play blues, but there are people carrying the torch. But with that said, like the whole how do I say this? Let's see. How do I say it nice?
Be honest, man. Be honest.
Okay, the guys that, you know, have never experienced a bad time, really, and many problems. Those dudes that wear the turtlenecks at the IBC Awards.
That's awesome.
If you want me to be honest, let's go all the way with the black turtleneck and the gold chain on the outside of it, and
they're playing blues, baby.
Oh yeah,
what they call blues.
Sure are the blues, baby. No, I mean they are, I guess.
Awesome.
But just, you know,
they're very technically proficient players. We'll say that.
Yeah, and so blues, I feel, is a genre that if you're not being super freaking honest, and it's just not being done right. So it can sound like crap, and it can sound like, you know what I mean? Like it's just really like the more raw, the better these days, because there's so many, like some of the, like we were talking about earlier, the crappy guitars, like, man, they sound the best. Why is that though? You know, is it because it's dirty and you like that tone, or is it partly because maybe it's a little more real and honest than
authentic?
Yeah, and authentic than I don't know, say Joe Bonamassa's rig or something, or his guitar, or his pickups, or his, you know, like
right.
And while he's a great player and everything, that's not my thing, but just saying that there is somewhat of a line that's dividing real and not real.
Well, I know exactly what you're saying here, and I get it, and I hope our listeners are getting it too, because I don't want to rail on Joey Bonamassa, right? I don't want to do that. I mean, he's a well-dressed, fabulous guitar player. Okay,
he is, and I agree.
Okay, but can I tell you something?
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to the album Seesaw or Rhymes with Beth Hart makes that album, because Beth Hart is raw, down to the core. Flat out sings her butt off, and is so raw because of her, if you don't know her story, her trials and tribulations, and, you know, dealing with addiction and everything else and struggles in her life. You hear it when she sings it, right?
Right.
And I think that's what you're talking about, is that sometimes you don't have to be a great guitar player to be a fabulous blues musician.
Exactly.
Because blues, how do I phrase this? Blues comes from the soul. It doesn't come from music theory.
Right, exactly.
I mean, that's the best way. That's the only way I know how to say that.
Yeah, and that's a great way to say it, because I had 2 semesters in college of music theory and just music classes in general for a music degree. And after that, after the 2 semesters, I was done. And I don't know. I learned way more from just hanging out with my family, and and listening to that college radio station every Wednesday night. You know,
right?
I learned way more about music.
Yep.
I feel like that way.
Well,
than,
but don't you think that's true though, Brian? That and Caroline, you can jump in here too if you want to. But don't you think it's true that we learned a whole lot more over a bottle of bourbon and passing a guitar around and trying to figure out what the heck a pentatonic or a blues scale was, you know, and trying to make it fit, and nobody, you know, complained if you hit the wrong note. They just kept you going with it. I just always felt that it was just much easier, or I just learned so much more making those mistakes in around that type of a scenario than I ever did, you know, studying any sort of music theory.
Yeah, and it's like anything else, man. Like you want to be a farmer, what's the best way to learn that? You want to grow up on a farm and learn how to do all that and make mistakes and fall in the mud and whatever else. And
get shocked by an electric fence once. I've got that story.
Yeah. Or do you want to pick up a book?
That'll teach you.
It's like trial and
farming for dummies, and then go. Then all of a sudden you're a farmer.
Have you ever been electrocuted by a fence, Michael Naggy?
No.
Naggy is from Jersey, and he got transplanted out here to the middle of central Kansas.
Wow,
that's
unfortunate.
Unfortunately.
That's a shame. So Brian, Brian, how'd you and Caroline meet?
We've known each other for years, actually. Growing up in the same town, playing in local bands when we were growing up, and
when Brian was he played with Roger Allen Wade, as he was talking about earlier. And our separate bands, played shows together sometimes, and so we knew each other like that. But also, I don't know if you've heard of the country band Confederate Railroad. But
oh, sure. Oh, absolutely. What is it? One of my favorite songs. It's I like my women a little on the trashy side.
Yeah. Well, they're hometown boys.
That's always been my dating philosophy.
Brian's too, apparently. But I'm talking about me. I'm just kidding. Yeah. But anyway, so they're hometown boys, and I happen to be recording my band in the studio, and one of the guys from Confederate Railroad was trying his solo career and wanted to record one of Roger's songs, Reckless Kind, and wanted female vocals on it. And so I ended up getting that gig and doing those in the recording. And Brian was also playing with Roger, and now we actually do Reckless Kind together in the duo. But we've known each other for years around the music scene. When he went solo, I'd go out and see him. My best friend played drums for him back in Lafayette, or in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and and we've just known each other for a while.
So it was love at first note. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Got to work with the material, people. Okay, work with the material.
So I used to go watch their band and be like, oh yeah, that band with the hot chick, bass player, singer. They're playing, so we're gonna go see them tonight.
That's awesome. So
do you guys have any? Do you guys have any other members?
Playing together?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a drummer. It's 3-piece.
Oh, okay.
But he's not hooking up with us until tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you had any other live members and stuff.
Yeah, just a drummer. We try to keep it that way. We don't have a permanent drummer right now, so I'm just using whoever, kind of juggling drummers across the country for each tour.
But you're looking for a permanent drummer, then?
I would love a permanent
drummer. It would be great.
I would love a permanent drummer. But we made the move from Tennessee to Colorado, and everybody that's out there is not coming out here just because we are. And, so.
It's hard to find someone that wants to stay on the road as much as on the road a lot.
Everybody can't do it, solid, and there's kids and jobs. And,
there is a blues band that and actually they're kind of weird, but of course me and Naggy would know them if they were weird. They're what is it? The Cymbals?
Oh yeah, the Cymbals.
And I think they're kind of from the Colorado area,
okay.
And they don't have a permanent drummer either, but for whatever reason, they seem to find one in every area where they play.
I've done it before where I've been on tour.
It's a hell of a deal.
And I've found like a different drummer every couple of shows. different drummer every couple of months. I've done those tours. Just me and a buddy of mine, and let's go. And we'll just pick up the drum. That was back when I had a 2-man band, though.
Wow.
I was just doing the 2-man band thing. No bass players.
Dude, that's like walking into the unknown. It's like, okay, I got a bass player, I got me, and okay, we're gonna find a drummer, but we're going on tour. Okay,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Exactly. But you kind of know. I mean, I guess if you've been doing it for a minute, you kind of know. By the way, I don't know. The first 5 minutes of talking to somebody, you can tell whether they get it or not, and whether it's going to be.
It's a hell of a deal.
Yeah. Okay.
What's the interview question, man? I mean, so like.
How does that go down?
Yeah, I mean, because I'm like going. Okay, I'm like thinking. Okay, hey, Husky. I play the drums. I'd love to play with you guys. What's the interview questions like? I mean,
you must get that a lot. Like, I drum.
That's right.
Yeah, people say they drum, then you find out they've never been behind a kit or something. Or
I don't know.
They've never even seen a pair of drums.
Yeah,
but I drum
on my steering wheel.
It's different. It's like I don't really ask certain questions, I guess, but the conversation, just seeing what music they know and how much they know it and whether they're into it or not, you can kind of tell.
So the authenticity and the passion of the person kind of gives it away.
I would most of the time, 99.9% of the time.
Most of the time. Yeah. So clearly they've had to have some experience drumming for, some sort of other bands and maybe your style of music or something similar to that style of music.
Yeah, or even just if they're into R.L. Burnside or something like that, like just anything like that can kind of give it away, I guess. I don't know. Sometimes you just don't have a clue, and you gotta do it.
It's always interesting hearing different drummers' takes on the music, though. I was terrified when I first started playing with Brian. I was not used to rotating members at all, and it's most of the time it's really fun to see how drummers interpret the music differently.
That's cool.
Every time.
Yeah, because each member is going to add their own character.
Absolutely, and it gives us a new groove sometimes, and sometimes that'll give us a new idea of a different new way to play it.
Or something.
Yeah, and I want to explain to, if James doesn't know this, and I don't know, Michael, how well you do, and certainly our listeners who may not be musicians, what you may not understand is that the bass player locks in to the drummer. That is a union, that is one of those musical unions that just has to happen because the drummer and the bass player are literally feed off it. So when she's saying that there's fear and trepidation when there's a new drummer occasionally from the beginning, it's because you're not in sync with that same person initially. And so for her to be able to latch on to a brand new way of doing or interpreting this music causes her to have to rethink how she's doing what she's doing there as well, because she's kind of this cross between percussion and and kind of a melody, actually, if you are, a harmony, and it's really it's very difficult for a bass player to lock into somebody that she's never met before. And especially if they're doing something live, because you're just kind of basically doing it on the fly. Right? Am I saying that correctly, Caroline?
Absolutely. There's a groove that you lock into, and if the drummer isn't finding it, I can't find it. It's really hard. Like without the drums, it's really hard to get the bass right in there. But if you can just lock in with the drummer, it's the best feeling, especially when you can tell Brian feels it and can go off and just have fun. We really have a lot of fun when we find a good drummer. But yeah, that's so right on.
So Brian, does Caroline get a little upset if you happen to pick the wrong drummer? Does she let you know? Does she let you know when you get home? Honey, I don't know what you were thinking, but never allow this person to play with us again. Has she ever said that to you?
Not exactly.
Usually if I don't feel it, Brian doesn't feel it. Usually if one of us doesn't feel it, we both don't feel it. So usually we don't have to say too much.
Yeah, not yet. We haven't had to have that that conversation yet.
We haven't had that conversation yet. I listen. I remember playing with the bass player, and he was so particular that if he didn't play with this guy on a regular basis, that he was beside himself. He almost was like going to pack up his toys and go home because he didn't have that flexibility. But Caroline, sounds like you kind of are starting to dig this kind of flexibility.
Yeah, I've definitely gotten more comfortable with it. At first, I'm used to playing straightforward verse, chorus, verse, outro, rock and roll.
Right.
And that's what I've always played. So getting into the blues and just jamming was a totally new concept for me.
Right. It's called having church, right? You have a little church.
Exactly. Brian's really, really helped me in that way. I was pretty terrified just hanging on the one when I first started, just trying to feel the blues and playing with different people. And it's fun now. Most of the time I look forward to it.
Yeah, well, I think another thing that our listeners probably don't understand is that there's sometimes when you're up on stage, and Brian, you could speak to this, and Caroline, you too, could speak to this a little bit, but there are moments where all of a sudden you've latched on to something, and it is unexplainable, but everything around you is gone. Mm-hmm. Athletes will sometimes say they're in the zone when they say it, but sometimes you are in this moment, and I've seen it happen on stage when I've been down to the Blue Note in New York, up to the Blue Note in New York City and other blues clubs, where all of a sudden the audience doesn't exist anymore, and you've latched on to something. And a friend of mine say we call it having church, because you can't even explain. Your fingers are doing things that they've never done before. Your brain is gone. There's nothing. It's just you and the music. And talk about that a little bit, if you will, Brian.
Sometimes there's a particular song I do called Baby, and sometimes there's, even multiple times throughout one song, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, there's these little seconds of 2 to 3 seconds maybe at tops where you just go away for a minute and do something crazy that you didn't think you would do, or not that you couldn't do it, but why would you do it? And then all of a sudden you do it. I like to do that every single show. It's just close my eyes and zone, man, and just feel it. And we usually smoke a big joint before we go on stage, and we go. I hope I didn't mess up something.
We're not in Colorado anymore.
Yeah, well, I still smoke a joint before I go on stage, though. But
hey,
we're being honest, right?
Yeah.
We said earlier.
You gotta do what works for you, right?
No, really though.
As long as you don't do like some of these rappers have done, and in fact, I always like telling the story. But Naggy went to photograph a hip hop show, and this guy gets up on stage and starts talking about how I got all the guns in the back, I got all the drugs in the back, and the cops rushed the stage and took him out of there.
Well, he just kind of asked for that, didn't he?
Yeah, but no, really, like when you get up there and get in the zone, like blues is one of the main styles of music that you can really do that with, and you could just go away for a minute and extend the song out to 6, 7, 8, 9 minutes if you want, and not that I don't have to, or not that I have to, but honestly, like smoking a joint before you go on stage and not even being funny about it, like really, like we do that every single night, and just I don't know, man.
Like you said, get in the zone.
Before anybody who's in law enforcement is listening to this show right now, and you're planning on going to see him, they are not going to be doing it then. Okay.
No,
it will not happen then.
And Jay Izzo, you watching us on Skype, Britannia just stepped into your.
I saw the lovely and talented Britannia just cross the screen.
Yes, but let's do this. Let's play this final track here. Okay. Set this up for us. Tell us a little bit about this, my friend.
This one is called "Don't Tear It Down." It is my favorite track that we recorded for this split. it is about how the music industry, the music business is a bit of a butthole, basically, to put it easy, quick, and light.
It's a black hole of crap.
It is, and that's what this song's
fantastic
about. Yeah, that's it.
Well, here we go, and when we get back, we will wrap things up here, and here it is on the world famous Jiggy Jaguar radio broadcast, iHeartRadio, AM, FM, 247.com as well. Okay, there we are. And let's do this. We gotta, and I guess we'll turn Brittany's mic on too, so she can be involved in the conversation.
I don't really need to be involved in the conversation.
Well, you are now. Okay, and you even have your own camera if you want it. If you want to set up straight, you even got your own camera.
I'm gonna hide.
But we've got Michael Naggy in studio, the big star station scream Michael Naggy, the guy who is coined and has been around more ridiculous nonsense on this radio show.
That's right.
You've been around all sorts of craziness. You've survived the Jeffro days, everything. We had this guy named Jeffro. I have to explain Jeffro. We also have Dr. J. Izzo on Skype as well. But Jeffro was this super fan who basically showed up here, and he basically walked around all over town, and he would go to GNC, and they would give him things just to throw him out, just to get him to leave. So they'd load him up with like pre-workout. So he'd shove it all into like a bottle and he'd drink it. And he'd just walk all over town. And he got thrown out of a local health club here because he was scaring all the members. He would lift weights, and then after he'd slam the weights down, he'd pound on his chest and go, ah!
He's the only member. He's the only person that's been banned from here, actually.
He's the only person that's ever been banned from here. Because we have some videos on the internet where we have professional wrestlers who came in one day who super kicked him and slapped him in the chest and did all sorts of things to it, and he loved it.
That's great.
We have
like Hutchinson's Andy Kaufman.
We had this and I guess we would refer to her as a friend, Jay Bird Wells, who has her. Oh, yeah. She is dressed as a Jedi up there on our wall, but she dressed up as Catwoman, and Jeffro wanted to marry her, and then her husband showed up, and he's like, I don't care. And so it's quite the
awesome,
quite the interesting.
I've got a friend named Jeffro, or that when he gets drunk, I think we call him Jeffro.
Might be the same guy.
I mean, it sounds like if Jeff Haney's listening, let me know if this is you or not.
Have you ever walked around Hutchinson on pre-workout drinks?
Yeah. What's great is like he made his way all the way to McPherson. He just walked the highway, found Naggy in McPherson at like a comic book store, and he was signing autographs for little kids and telling everybody he was a famous sports star. So
awesome. So
great. I have a
go, Jay. Bring us back to relevancy.
Yeah, I got a question to ask Brian. So, Brian, can you and Caroline, you can certainly jump in here too. I don't want to just make because you're kind of both a team, really. So I'm addressing both of you. So tell us about where you're touring next, and then I'm going to ask a selfish question. When are you going to make it to the Raleigh-Durham area of North Carolina?
All right, part one. Tonight we're in Hutchinson, Kansas, and
a great salt city.
We're going to Oklahoma City tomorrow, Clarksdale, Mississippi on Saturday, Tennessee for the next week after that, and then we keep going on and on till April 21st, all the way around Midwest, all the way east, and then back through the Midwest. For the whole tour.
So you're like circling me.
Yeah, we're just doing a little teardrop shape back. But part two, we will be in North Carolina the 11th through the 15th. We won't. Well, I don't know if we're coming to Raleigh or not. The label.
Is that in March? Is that in March or?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, March. Yeah. That is. Raleigh is home base for the record label, so they're based out of Raleigh. So I don't know if we will be there or not because we're supposed to be shooting videos for the songs you just heard. Okay. I don't know. We do have a show booked in Lexington, North Carolina, which is not that close to you.
No,
but that's the only North Carolina show we have. So I'm not real sure when we're coming back to Raleigh. We tried to make that happen this time actually, and nothing came through. So
yeah, well, I'd love to have you guys get out here and love to go see one of your shows and be the 6'5" in the black hat, 6'5" guy in the black hat. That's with the long hair cheering you on. That's for sure. Because I really do. I'm serious when I say this. I really do enjoy your music. I until today. I mean, this was the first time I'd ever really listened to your music and immediately fell in love with it. And,
awesome. Well, thank you just so much.
And I hate to be one of those people who sounds like he's a crazy fan, but I really am. I really quickly became a fan of your music, and man, I just hope to. I wish the world of success to both of you. I honestly do.
Thank
Caroline.
you so much. I really appreciate it.
And awesome. And you know, if the listeners are around, and you really need to go and check out the website, because the website has just got everything that you could possibly want. I am there right now. Husky Burnett. That's BURNETTE. And it's .net, right?
It is.
And so, yes, do not put in COM. Listen to me, listeners. I want you to listen to me real quick. It's Husky, HUSKY, and it's Burnett, BURNETTE.net. And it makes sense, doesn't it? HuskyBurnett.net.
Look at that.
I think it makes sense.
It's a hell of a deal.
Yeah, I like the spelling. Spelling it out. That helps.
Hell of a deal.
So listen, folks, I just want to tell you that you can get Husky's bio, Brian Husky Burnett's bio on there. It's a really great bio. But also his music is there. There's the store.
Sandwich.
Jag, finish.
I was just going to say, I really like the variety of the first and second track. It makes me want to listen to more, because each track was so different from each other that it's really interesting to see what else you've done. So it's like, I want to go and listen to more now.
Okay, awesome. So, that's great.
Good to hear.
Well, as we wrap up here, you're all over Instagram, Facebook.
Mm-hmm. All the social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter,
all the stuff.
And the website, and I guess that's it. And the record label's website, rustyknucklesmusic.com.
Fantastic.
Yep. And you can find the music on Spotify,
anywhere you can buy music online, you can find the albums.
Yeah, it's by the way, iTunes, Amazon Music, Spotify, Google Play. I'm telling you, you can purchase CDs, vinyl at Rusty Knuckles. Yes, I said vinyl, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're like me and still love to hear vinyl, because I still think vinyl is the best.
Vinyl's coming back, actually.
Vinyl.
Yeah, I do that. And also, you know, there's all sorts of things that you can get from Rusty Knuckles that support Husky. There's T-shirts and all sorts of other things that you can get. I'm even looking at black and red panties, just to let you know. Anyway, I'm not making that up. I wish I was. I'm not making that up at the Rusty Knuckles store. So anyway, folks, get in there. And then like his Facebook page, like his Twitter page. Check him out on YouTube. Follow him on Instagram. Do all of his social media, show him some support, show him some love, tell him that you enjoyed listening to him and Caroline and his music on the Jiggy Jaguar experience, and let him know that you're listening and that you can't wait to hear more, because I certainly can't wait to hear more from Brian and Caroline as well, so I'm looking forward to it.
Hell of a deal.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank you so
much. For the kind words, I appreciate that.
Well, Dr. Izzo, before we let you go, how do we find you online?
Yeah, hey, listen, you can find me just go to jayizzo.com. That's the simplest way to do it. It's JAYIZSO. If you spell that out in numbers, it looks like 1250, believe that or not. Anyway, so it's jayizzo.com. And listen, if you don't want to do that, why don't you just look up my book, Got Social Mediology, double award-winning book all over this country, great country of ours, and Canada as well, which is also another great country. And you can listen to My Golden Tones, read you my book on Audible, as well as get it on Kindle, iBooks, iTunes, and any of your favorite bookstores. Just ask for Got Social
Mediology. I think we may have. I always love when Skype freezes. Yes, there we are. We're back.
I was frozen there for a second.
You were frozen in time, sir.
I think we had one of those church moments, didn't we, Miss Kelly?
Well, before we let everybody go here, Michael, how do we find you online?
Just type in photography by Michael Naggy, and I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Flickr. I come up in Google searches, so just type in photography by Michael Naggy.
Look at that. The making it work here today. And I appreciate everybody for being with us. Jay, I will talk to you next week. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Hey, don't forget to download the Jiggy Jaguar app so you can hear this show and any other show. Remember, friends do not let friends not download the Jiggy Jaguar app. So download that app and tell your friends to download that. And if you're not telling people, I'm going to find you. Okay. So download the dang app. Okay. And then when you go to jagshow.com. You can listen to that show here. But when you do, scroll down. Buy your Amazon merchandise from jagshow.com, because when you do that, you support the show and you get all your fun stuff as well. Okay, there it is. I'm done with that.
Thank you, sir. And apparently, someone's hooting and hollering at Britannia on the phone there. Okay, well, thank you, Jay. Appreciate it,
Good
sir.
Good talking to you, Jay.
Hey, you're welcome. Hey, good luck to both of you, okay?
Thank you so much.
There goes Jay Izso, the internet doctor, and Michael Naggy, as they like to say, I guess it's picture time.
Right.
And we will let everybody go for today. And join us this Sunday, the Sunday radio show. We've got rappers and rockers and shenanigans and porn stars as usual. And we will see you next time. Thanks for joining us here on our big broadcast.